Good morning.
Good morning. We're good to go, Chairman Bory.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'd like to call this meeting of the GERS Board to order and to ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Carwood,
Present.
Trustee Dorsey. Trustee Dorsey. Absent. Trustee Liger. Absent. Trustee McDonald. Absent. Ex officio member Cindy Richardson. Ex officio member Cindy Richardson. Absent. Trustee Russell. Absent. Trustee Smith. Trustee Smith is on the call. Trustee Smith.
So Mr. Liger is on the call
Yes,
also.
I saw that. I passed him already. I'll go back. Chairman Barry.
Present.
Trustee Liger.
He's on mute.
Present.
Trustee Russell.
Present.
I don't know why. Let me go back in and come back.
Trustee Dorsey. Trustee Smith. Mr. Chair, I have 4 present and 4 absent, which includes the ex officio member. So we have a quorum.
Okay, just to confirm, who is present?
Harwood, Liger, Russell, Barry.
Okay. Okay, so let's get started.
All Dorsey.
So I see Dorsey's on the call. You want to mark him as president? You want to call him to see if
I just know that he came in after the call.
Okay, so this is a portion of the agenda where we accept comments and suggestions from retirees and active members. Do we have any? Are there any retirees on the call who have comments and suggestions? Or any active members on the call with comments and suggestions? Hearing none, I'll move to next item on the agenda, which is Secretary's minutes. And I guess we have 3 sets of minutes. I'd like to ask for a motion to accept these minutes, unless somebody has any questions about that.
We're going to vote on them separately. Mr.
So
Chairman?
yes, we'll start with at least the first one on my list is the one for the meeting dated December 1.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the Secretary's minutes from the December 1st meeting of the Board of Trustees. I so move.
It's been moved. Get a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? Roll call.
Trustee Carwood,
Yes.
trustee Dorsey. Absent. Trustee Liger,
Yes.
trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Russell,
Yes.
trustee Smith. Absent. Chairman Barry,
Yes.
4 yes, 3 absent.
Okay. So the next one is the minutes for the meeting of 12/16/21.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes from the December 16th meeting
Yes.
of the Board of Trustees. I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Trustee Carwood.
Yes.
Trustee Dorsey. Absent. Trustee Liger,
Yeah.
trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Russell. Trustee Russell,
Yes.
trustee Smith. Absent. Chairman Barry,
Yes.
4 yes, 3 absent.
Yes, minutes are accepted. Next will be the minutes of the special meeting that was held on January 7th.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes from the special meeting held on January 7th. I so move.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Trustee Carwood,
Yes.
trustee Dorsey,
Yes.
trustee Liger,
Yeah.
trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Russell,
Yes.
trustee Smith. Absent. Chairman Barry,
Yes.
5 yes, 2 absent.
Okay, meeting minutes are accepted. Next item is communication and correspondences. We have any?
Yes, we do. Minute, please. On January 24th, letter was written by me and sent to, someone need to mute there. Letter was sent to Honorable Ray Martinez, Commissioner, Police Department, in regards to training and partnership with the Havenside Mall, the GRS Havenside Mall, for training, including traffic control, patrol and observation, report writing, crowd management, conflict resolution, handling emergency situations, risk management, and defensive tactics. We did meet with the commissioner early in December after the incident and had very favorable responses from him. On January 26th, I received a letter from Senator Bailey in regards to an invitation to appear before the Committee on Finance on Tuesday, February 1st, 2022 at 9 a.m. to give testimony on bill number 34-0171, which is an act amending Virgin Islands Code Title 3, Chapter 27, Section 706, and Chapter 28A, Section 755, relating to service annuity, retirement annuity to allow retirees to re-enter government service and retain the annuity while paying a contribution to the retirement system. And that bill was sponsored by Senator Milton Potter. Also on yesterday, received, the bill is, again, you have a copy of the bill. We did discuss this before in board meeting. It's bill number 340171. Also on yesterday, or 2 days ago, January 25th, I received an invitation from the 34th legislature, which will convene a committee of the whole legislative session on Monday, January 31, 2022 at 10 a.m. in the Albee Artley Legislative Hall in St. Thomas to give testimony on BR 21-0685, which is the governor's bill to fund the GERS and forestall the insolvency. And the bill is attached, was sent to you, and there's a discussion in that bill in the regular session. Let's see if that's all.
Regarding the bill, Mr. Nibs, aren't we invited to testify on the
So
bill?
you'll have to ask the chair.
Okay.
Um,
Mr. Bowie, aren't we invited? I think I saw an invitation for us to comment on the bill.
I'm looking, I don't recall seeing one to me for that. I received invitation to the committee on the whole.
Yes.
Yeah. I got an invitation to comment on the one to the committee on the whole.
Because that's not the same bill. The one to the committee whole is a special purpose vehicle, right?
The financing for GRS, yes.
Yes, but the one that Senator Potter sponsored, my understanding is that we received something to comment on that, or the comment period is over.
Senator Russell, we brought this before. As a matter of fact, GRS was the one that put forth submitting a bill to the legislature. I think in November we came in and we submitted it. I think a month after Senator Potter submitted his bill. We discussed this before.
Yes, I know.
All it is to since there are vacancies, I think there were about 1,000 at that time. What we were saying is that let the retirees come back to work to fill those positions because we needed contributions. And those positions remain unfilled. We would have a shortage of contributions.
Yes.
About $18 million approximately using the actuarial average rate. So I don't know. I don't think there was any opposition to it.
What I think it was, Mr. Nibs and members and trustees, is that we think we could strengthen the bill for the GRS. There's some things that might not have been considered. The bill is a carte blanche for the executive branch to rehire, and that's good. And then we get paid through the annuity. So I think there's some avenues for some minor tweaks. So that's why I asked if we could testify regarding the bill. That's what it is about. We discussed it, and Member Dorsey, myself, and Liga, we discussed it, but there may be room for improvement. That's all we say. Okay.
Yeah, I know that Senator Potter did. We did have a stakeholder session, working session early in January.
Oh, okay.
With all the stakeholders, the unions, personnel, the governors, chief of staff was there. There's just a whole lot of stakeholders, and tried to iron out certain things. There were some concerns in regard to the union and with personnel, with the health insurance fund in regard to the health insurance.
Yes.
And those are under consideration. I don't know if Trustee Carl who's attached to the senator's office would have anything to add to make you feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, well, let me just mention, if you're coming back and you gain an annuity, should you be required to pay more into the system, a little bit more, since you're receiving the benefit of 2 checks from the government? Just little things like that. Instead of paying,
You would be paying more because they will be paying at the Tier 2 rate.
yeah, the Tier 2 rate, but what I would like to see is the commentary period for the senator is still open, and we could submit some tweaks that we might think would help the system and to alleviate some of the loopholes that might exist. And I think some loopholes exist, but we'll discuss that. This is your report. Continue.
But Mr. Chairman, excuse me if I may be heard. I think if you recall what happened when the bill came up, it was referred to the policy committee to vet the bill. And I don't believe that ever happened, I guess, because of scheduling or timing issues. So I don't believe that the board has had an opportunity as an entity to review the bill and make any comments, as Trustee Russell has indicated. So technically and procedurally, that has not happened. What is also supposed to happen, assuming the administrator, somebody's going to go down to testify in these bills, those testimony are supposed to be presented to the board to be vetted prior to the testimony being heard. And I don't know whether that has occurred or not. No, I understand the timing may be tight or short, but that is in fact the procedure and the policy in terms of what is supposed to happen, so that if trustees have concerns or comments about what is being said, whether in favor of the bill, against the bill, changes being proposed, that they have an opportunity to comment on what is technically the position of the GRS.
Mr. Chairman, I think the management has done exactly what the board councilor said. We have submitted it. You must remember, at first it was our bill recommendations to legislature. We put it before the policy committee. Policy committee could not schedule a meeting, right? And I just got this request yesterday. It's a short turnaround, maybe 2 days or 3 days to get a testimony in. That testimony will be submitted to the board before I submit it.
If I may, Mr. Nibbs, this bill appears to be a revised bill, so there have been some changes. But as you know, we've been preparing for Monday's hearing, so I have not had a chance yet to go through the bill. I plan to do that after the meeting so that I can give you my comments on any changes or adjustments or any concerns.
Chair, this is Trustee Dorsey. Morning to everyone. The council is right. I think we need to follow policy. We, as trustees, we had this bill assigned to the policy committee, and we haven't met to discuss it, to vent it. So we need an opportunity to do that. My suggestion is that we don't have anybody speak on the bill at this time, because we're not prepared to speak, because we haven't had the opportunity as trustees to actually vent the bill. So I think that's really what we should do. From a board standpoint, we should follow policy. And if the policy is that we need to vent it, and we had questions and we never got the opportunity, as council has said, because of the scheduling issues, then I think that's the position we need to take. It's not because someone invites you to speak. As an administrator, you should just go speak when we didn't follow policy. So we have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of moving parts. And I also, for that other bill that was mentioned, the governor's bill, we agreed when we met with the governor, we would present a white paper position, but also we agreed that we would vent that bill as well, which we haven't had an opportunity to sit down as trustees to vent that bill. So we're kind of putting the cart before the horse for both of these bills. I'm not sure what the rush is, but I think we need to do that. So the policy committee chair, I don't know if you want to call a meeting for tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow morning But I think we need to start to look at the two bills and come up with a position. If it's doable for the other trustees, I would make myself available because of the short notice. But I think we should follow policy. I don't think we should be skipping a step at this point.
Well, if members could participate in a meeting tomorrow, I would schedule a meeting tomorrow because I have the time. And if you have the time, I don't know if member Carlwood, member anybody, we should just schedule a meeting tomorrow and then report whatever concerns and comments we have out of the policy committee to the legal counsel and to the rest of the board members. But it would be good if all board members participate so that we could have a consensus regarding the board members. And I would venture to say I could meet tomorrow. Let me check my schedule right now because this urgency is, I could meet tomorrow at 10. And if members would participate, let's schedule a meeting at 10. I have another conference at 9, but I'll be ready at 10. So, Mr. Chair, could I schedule an emergency policy meeting to consider these two bills tomorrow? And could we get a consensus of who could participate and who could attend, please?
Well, I thought the governor's bill is on our agenda for today, so I don't know that you need that in the policy committee. The full board is going to discuss it today.
Okay, fine.
You may only want to do the one for the return to work.
Yeah, well, fine. Thanks for the correction.
Okay, and I need to clarify something. The bill that's on the agenda today was the legislature's markup copy that's going before the legislature. So the governor submitted a bill, but the legislature made changes to it. And the bill that you have that was sent to you recently is the bill that's going before the legislature with their markups.
Attorney Smith, the markup bill is the bill they're going to consider. Then they're not considering the governor's bill that we discussed with the governor last week. This is a markup from that bill.
Yes, so there are some changes to it from the governor's original bill.
Okay, so we're going to spend the time. Is that that's on the agenda today? So we're going to go through the bill today for the governor. Attorney Smith.
The staff reviewed the bill and we had some concerns and some questions, and those were to be brought to the board's attention.
No, I don't think that's his question. The bill that's on the agenda today is the legislature's bill, which is a markup of the governor's bill. Correct, Kathy?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're going to go through that bill today. Okay. The governor indicated there were going to be changes in the meeting that we had. My question to the chair, when we're done going through the markup bill today, are we doing a position today as well? Or you want to take that up in the policy committee meeting that we may have tomorrow to send to the Senate?
I think if we have a discussion today, we may as well decide it today. The fact is that the legislature, the session is on Monday, Mr. Nims?
Yes, the session is on Monday.
Okay, tomorrow is Friday. So we don't have a lot of time. So
Okay, Chair, that's the committee of the whole on Monday, right?
that's correct.
Okay, so in the committee of the whole, you don't vote in committee of the whole, if I understand how the rules work. You're just vetting the information. So they're, in a sense, going through their process of vetting the bill, making whatever other changes before they go into regular session to vote on it, vote it up or down. So I guess in our case, then I guess the logical thing would be to do what we have to do today, and then tomorrow on the other bill for the back to work for retiree.
The meeting is committee of the whole and legislative session.
Oh, so they're gonna go into committee of the whole first and then the legislative session second, Mr. Nibbs, that's what you're saying?
That's what the invitation says.
Okay, so then we really have to get this done between today and tomorrow. So whatever we don't finish today, we can finish in the policy meeting tomorrow.
No, we need to finish this today, I mean. At least the one for Monday, we need to finish that today.
Okay, that's fine. My time is available at 10 tomorrow if other members can make the policy meeting.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, why not who could make the meeting? I don't want to schedule a meeting and then only myself and Dorsey attend.
Well, let me see.
Attorney Russell, I already have plans for tomorrow, so I wouldn't be able to attend the meeting.
Okay. Mr. Carwood, what's your position?
Why we having a policy committee? It's policy committee meeting instead of an investment committee meeting where all trustees are part of the committee. That's my only question.
Well, we could do it in investment.
I'm just saying it's since time is of the essence.
Yes.
Let's do it in a committee where all members of the board are part of the committee.
Okay, no problem with me. Well, as long as we're going to discuss the bill.
Or you can call a special meeting.
Or even a special meeting. I'm available, but I just think that's a road to go.
Yeah, I think a special meeting is probably best. I don't know if we have any issues with notice, Miss.
I believe there's a 24-hour requirement, so if you're gonna do that, I think Ms. Coley would need to send out the notice like immediately. And as long as it's before 10 o'clock, so that at least you meet the 24-hour requirement. So you may want to, push it back to 10:30 or 11, just so that at least
11. I think 11 would be good because what do you think, Mr. Chair?
I'm fine with 11.
Okay, well, let's schedule it and it would be, according to Mr. Carwood, an investment committee meeting to deal with the.
No, it'll be a special
meeting of the board.
A special meeting of the board to consider the legislation sponsored by Senator Potter, right?
No. That's not what we're talking about the financing bill, the one that goes before the committee of the whole.
No.
No, we're talking about
we're discussing the financing bill today, and the special meeting will be to consider the return to work bill, which would be the Potter bill.
Okay, got you. That's correct, stand corrected.
Okay, so we set for the special meeting tomorrow at 11. Okay, yeah.
Do we have to make a motion on this?
There's really no need for a motion. I mean, the chairman could call a special meeting at any time.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Mr. Nibs, could you have somebody on staff? I'm not sure if, look like Ms. Coley's on the line. So, are you raising your hand, Ms. Coley? You're on mute.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Oh, okay. Were you listening to the discussion about the special meeting?
Yes, tomorrow at 11.
Okay, so I guess just to make sure we comply with the 24-hour notice requirement. Okay. All right.
Chair, just a quick point. Since the bill is for the governor is a major item, do you want to assign that item like right now so that we can just get it out the way in case we lose our quorum? Reorganize that and put it on the agenda for now so we can get right to it. It's regular session, right?
It is on the agenda.
No, I meant to discuss it like right now on the agenda. So we don't lose a quorum.
Well, I would even recommend, Mr. Chairman, then put it for tomorrow. put both, we can do both tomorrow, we have more time.
Yeah, I think that's a better suggestion because and people would be able to have at least to read it. I read it and I have several questions, but I think it's an improvement. But and I would like to discuss that with the full trustee membership, you know. So I like the idea of putting the two of them for the special meeting and just go through the agenda today with whatever we can cover.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we assign the consideration of the governor's bill that is now on the agenda, assign it to the special meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I so move.
But Trustee, well, just to be factually correct, I don't know that we want to keep referring to it as the governor's bill, since technically it is, well, I guess the bill says proposed by the governor, Kathy, does it not? But you're saying that that's the legislature's markup, so it may still be technically correct that it is the governor's bill. All right,
Technically,
that's
it's the
fine.
governor's bill. I just wanted to distinguish it because we got the governor's bill first and it was sent out to everybody with comments. And then we got this bill and we sent it out to the board members with the comments on this particular bill. So I don't want them confused. So I want to make sure everybody's looking at the right bill that's going to be addressed on Monday.
So it's fine, Trustee Russell, the way you are proceeding.
Yeah, and that's just so that we could correct this agenda and have it organized. And I need a second. Do the trustees understand the motion? I'll
What
restate it.
is the motion, sir?
The motion is to reassign the governor's bill from consideration today to reassign it to tomorrow's special meeting.
Second.
Thank you.
Trustee Carwood,
Yes.
trustee Dorsey. Trustee Dorsey. Trustee Liger,
Yes,
trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Russell,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Barry,
Yes,
5 yes, 2 absent.
What was the, I didn't hear that, guys. What was the motion? Sorry about that.
Vote has already been taken.
Yeah, I'm asking what it was.
Motion was to reassign the governor's bill, which is BN BR 210685 legislature number for special meeting tomorrow, 1/28/22. Reassign it to the special meeting tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I would say yes on that. No problem.
okay. All right. So,
The chairman is 6-1. 6 yes, 1 absent.
okay, so we've pretty much reordered the agenda. That's what we've done. Okay. So next on the agenda is chairperson's report. I don't have a full report to give at this point. So we'll move to the administrator's report.
Okay, good morning again. I'll start with my meetings and appearances. On December 20th, I attended the Riverside Mall Oversight Committee meeting. The 21st, I was invited and attended a working session with Senator Potter and other stakeholders on bill number 34-0171, return to work. On December 30th, I attended the GRS Policy Committee meeting. On January 7th, I attended GRS Special Board meeting. On the 8th, I attended meeting with JLL Consultants in regards to development at Havenside Mall. On the 11th, I presented at DPNR rezoning hearing of parcels 2 and 4 of the Havenside Mall. The 14th of January, I met with JLL regarding the ground lease at Havenside Mall. On the 19th, I met with Governor and his team in regards to the SPB legislation. On the 20th, I met with JLL regarding the ground lease at Havenside Mall. Also attended on that day the Havenside Mall Oversight Committee meeting. On the 24th, I met with WAPA executives, availability of infrastructure funds to replace the Havenside Mall water distribution system. That same day, I met with JLL regarding the ground lease at Havenside Mall. On the 26th, I testified as a witness on a member's case. I also attended Vitec's presentation in regards to the new software. As far as member services, the applications that received for 2022-28, those applications remaining for 2021, 156. So we have completed at least 51%. So we have not done anything with those that we received in 2022 as yet. Overall, we have about 176 applications still not processed. As you can see, the majority is last year, which is 156, remaining process 150. As far as the duty non-disability disability life certificates, we validated 200, 3 were deceased, and we received 28 of the certificate pending. We're going to be sending out, distributing those certificates again sometime next month. There are about 13 disability cases pending for determination. Refunds. So from October last year, from October to December, which is 3 months, we have $1.9 million paid out. That 1.98 is about 1.7 for those that are not vested. Death benefits, we paid out about 313 between active and retiree members that passed away to their beneficiaries. The payroll for January 14, 2022, a total of 8,700 retirees. Cumulative amount from October to January 14, I was paid out $75,950,873.49. Number of retirees added to the payroll from October through January 14, 102. Those that were deleted from the payroll for the same period, 82. The gross payroll was $10,876,848.51 for the 114.22 payroll. Personal loans, as you can see, these units are decreasing. We have approximately 1,900 personal loans at 12/31/2021. Not personal loans, but loans and mortgages. Of the 1,900, 1,819 are personal loans, 81 mortgages left. Balance the books, 21,018,508.95. Refunded for December overpayments to 22 units, $18,563.35. And we make a note here at the end of calendar year 2021, approximately 534 loans were scheduled to be matured. So if those payments came in January, this amount of the 1,819 should be decreased. Operations inquire no major issues. And St. Thomas, we continued with the heat roof replacement. That is going pretty good. The air conditioner project is also moving along very well. Plan to complete that project the second quarter this year. Some ongoing projects that we do have is the guard installation we began, and they're being erected on the workstations for the employees. Transformer replacement, we did replaced 2 transformers were replaced last week. Fencing, there's some fabrication left for the fencing. Painting and the perimeter fence repairs are 95% completed. That's to enclose the equipment that is on in the parking area. Air quality testing, we did have some problems in several areas of high concern within the building. We did receive 2 quotes, and we would be scheduling mold remediation, and the target completion date is in February. The generator, we do have an issue right now. The generator is currently not operable. There's a problem with a fuel pump that is need to be rebuilt. It would take about 3 to 6 weeks. The new part would take about 3 to 4 months. So we selected to rebuild the part with knowledge that the generator will not be operable. So if WAPA goes, right now we wouldn't have any generation. The warehouse demolition, it's on hold for further environmental and hazardous protection and state historic preservation office review. There was a site visit by FEMA at Havenside Mall on December 10, 2021. We are waiting their feedback. Warehouse J, this is the warehouse that is going to be rehabilitated to help to house the tenants that requires warehousing. DPNR application was filed, and we're finalizing an RFP to be sent out as soon as possible. So that should be starting very soon. There's a White House annex at Havenside Mall. It's a small building just to the south of the White House. That house was damaged in the hurricane in 2017. The roof came off. Yes, Wyco replaced the roof. However, all the files, the paper files and archives and the 2 floors were drenched. And there's a lot of mold infestation. We're gonna have to remove at least 600 boxes on both floors. So we obtained quotes from 2 individuals to do that. It's very hazardous operation. Rental and electrical collections. For December, we collected $66,162.74. Of that amount, $62,337.84 was rental. Total fiscal year to date, collected $107,222.42. Of that amount, $96,930.20 was rental. Arrearages. As of December 21, arrearages $307,146.74. Of that amount, $150,757 is rental. The balance of $156,389.42 is electrical. As far as leases, the provision of personnel lease has been finalized through the government procurement process. Signatures are pending on for procurement and DOP. Justice, Department of Justice, the lease was transmitted from the property procurement to GRS for signature. The signed lease was forwarded to Department of Justice, awaiting the Attorney General's signature. As far as the FEMA insurance, on December 10th, as we said, FEMA did a walkthrough in anticipation of the demolition of the warehouse and redesign restoration of warehouse J. The representative from FEMA, which is EHP, which is the Environmental Hazard Protection Unit, submitted a document for clarification, clarifying questions. GRS responded. No feedback received from that unit as yet. We continue to work with Whit O'Brien on new cost estimates to support letter to FEMA to revise the reimbursement amount for the retail roofs at Havenside Mall. at a meeting held with FEMA on Monday, January 10th. GRS is to revise the scope of work with architectural and design details of warehouse J. That ends my report.
I have a couple of questions.
I also have some questions after you, Mr. Chair.
So the disability cases, they said there were 13 of them. Is that an unusually high number? And is there, how far back they go, and what's the issue? What's taking long to resolve them?
Well, I know some are waiting, scheduling, or I guess hearings. Also, some are waiting the accumulation of documents. Ms. Clendenin?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, trustees. Yes, we have a few that are pending appeal. There are several that are in the process. We're in the process of obtaining the information from the physicians. We're waiting back on documentation to support their applications. Yes, there are 13. It's not an unusually high number. More than half of the 13, there has been a determination, and the rest would be pending an appeal.
Okay.
Well, the only two medical review cases that are pending, that are on appeal, and that number of 13 disability cases have been on the administrator's report for at least the last 4 reporting cycles. So, you know, other than the cases that are on appeal, I have no knowledge of, you know, what the other disability cases are.
Right. That's why I just explained that they're pending documentation. We received an application and we're sending them away to get the second and third independent physicians review.
One of the things I'd like to do, trustees, is I don't want to establish another committee. Maybe we could do it as assign it to one of the existing committees, but I'd like us to do a better job of monitoring the report we get on member services, the cases pending, and a few other items that are mentioned that keeps popping up on these reports monthly. And I'm not sure whether the numbers are going down or they're going up. So I'd like to get your feedback. I think we need to do like maybe a subcommittee of one of the committees to just to monitor the items that are outstanding with respect to member services. Any thoughts, any ideas?
Yes. I did a disability hearing yesterday, and I wanted to get an idea of what is the next step and how soon we could resolve it. I mean, it's
That was not a disability hearing, Senator Russell.
not disability. No, I did a hearing for an appeal, right, Mr. Nibs?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it seems to me that we have a sort of responsibility to address these matters timely, if we are the board as trustees. So I agree with you, Mr. Bowery. It's just a matter of getting the time to put in to address these member matters, because that's a hearing is just a fair assessment of what both parties have submitted, and they should be given a chance to hear the cases expeditiously instead of just waiting. So I think that we could sit down when we do that special meeting. We could sit down and really assess whatever deficiencies in the hearing process is happening. Maybe we don't have, adequate information, as Ms. Clennon said, but, we got to do something about that.
Well, I'm not, I guess we need to be careful about going into too much detail in a session.
Yeah.
Trustee Corey, if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
just for clarification of the 13, I just pulled up the pending case list just to give an overview. 5 of the 13 were already approved. 2 were disapproved. 2 were appealed and disapproved on the appeal. 2 awaiting in-person medical examinations. And I'm thinking I'm counting correct.
Okay, but so
But there is details that are sent in the administrator's report, and maybe that's something that could be sent additional with just the status to the trustee. Thank you.
I wasn't looking for more detail at this level, at the board level. I was more interested. I mean, the detail we get in a board report is fine. What I was looking towards is a process that the board could monitor that part of the operations. I mean, we have committees that monitor the overall finance. We have committees that monitor the big policy. We have different committees, and month after month we get these reports and they outline the status of issues relating to member services. And, so I'll hear a report and I get a number 160 pending. And unless I go back to the previous report to try to figure out whether that number is going down, is going up, or making any movement in it, I just think we need to have a formal process that we could dig into the details that you're going into now. I don't think necessarily this is a forum to do that in a board meeting. So somebody had a question?
Mr. Chair, in regards to that, I would like the board to also monitor those pending cases for folks that were double dipping, and we're still awaiting a word from the system.
Okay.
So we have a problem with that too, in terms of getting back to folks in regards to the status.
So I'm open to suggestions. I mean, I don't necessarily want to create another committee. But I mean, if this could be a subcommittee of an existing committee, well, I'm open to suggestions.
Chair, I would
Could call a
recommend,
meeting. Sorry, Mr. Dorsey, but you probably could call a meeting with the board to discuss this. I mean, I don't think you need a next committee for that. You probably could call us. I mean, 6 is a meeting, Attorney Williams, right?
4.
6 members present.
4.
If we call a meeting to discuss these pending
All
issues.
you need is 4 members present for quorum.
Yeah, but
Unless those members that you said were double dipping, unless an appeal was made to the board, those members' annuities have been stopped, awaiting repayment.
okay, so right.
So I mean, unless they appeal it to the board.
Maybe what we could do then is agree to the next board meeting that's been an agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair,
Yes.
you could probably just call a meeting just for that issue, as was suggested, instead of waiting to the board meeting. I mean, you could do a special meeting just for that issue or issues I mean, I've been watching those issues on the monthly meeting documents. And that's why I was always questioning the loan section, if you can remember, because it's a repeat. And I keep questioning that as it relates to the VTech, the software update system, right? But we really never had a drill down time because we don't have the time to do it in the monthly meeting.
I'm suggesting we make it an agenda item. So it would be, instead of being an item that's read out on the report, it would be an agenda item that in which the management is required to give a full update. I don't think we need to call a special meeting for that.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna run into the same problem because we're gonna all have questions. But I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
And it'll probably be lengthy in a regular meeting. That discussion probably be very lengthy in a regular board meeting. I don't know you.
Okay.
A special meeting would take care of this issue because we're just dealing with that issue.
Yeah, a special meeting. Okay. I yield to the rest of the board members on this one. I mean, my preference would be one or two things. Either it is a committee meeting, or make it an agenda item on a regular meeting, and we just schedule the meeting so that the agenda, so that we allow time for full discussion on that issue.
Well, Chair, the agenda meeting is long already, so if you're gonna add that on, you might lose your quorum.
I'm not talking about this agenda meeting. I'm talking about the next meeting.
That's what I'm saying. The agenda meetings are long meetings, and that's why you have your committees to vent it. So when you come to your general meeting, you're just kind of voting things up or down at that point.
That was my original suggestion, that we do a committee.
Yeah, may I pitch into this? I agree with Trustee Smith. This is really how we solving our members. And when they appeal, we have to deal with it expeditiously. And I would agree that to deal with the whole issue of appeals, challenges, and even the lawsuits against the GRS, we could have a special meeting to address members and their interaction with this, GRS.
So I think we all agree that we need some process, some forum.
Yes.
Question what the forum is going to be. And I was saying that my preference would be for a committee meeting. I mean, all members could attend if that's the issue.
Yeah, I think we need, if you're doing it in a committee meeting, which committee will you assign it to? If you do it in a special meeting, you just have a time set aside for us to deal with these issues that members bring to us, and it's been showing up often. So how
we're gonna have a special meeting every month?
Well,
we can
have a special meeting every month if we have to.
Yeah, if as needed.
Business.
Yeah, I think I agree with members Trustee Smith, because it's important. People appeal because they really feel that, the system has done something wrong and we need to address it. Right or wrong, we need to just make a decision. And if we have them lingering, I think that's not right. So I have a special meeting.
So you, Attorney Russell, are you suggesting a special meeting?
Yes.
Well, move a motion.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I move a motion
I don't think you needed a motion. The chairman said that he was yielding to the
Right.
wishes of the others. If the majority of you want a special meeting, and I think that's what he's
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
Well, I think we
Yeah.
could vote on it.
Well, we should vote on it, yes.
Okay.
Also, Mr. Chairman, you could appoint according to the bylaws, you could appoint an ad hoc committee to deal with this.
I mean, I know that. I mean, so we're past that discussion now. Looks
Well,
like,
if we have a special meeting and we have to come up with that, fine, but I think we need to have a special meeting and deal with this situation. It's been lingering too long. People have a lot of concerns and we are not addressing them in a timely fashion.
Are you talking, Member Smith, are you talking about double dipping?
Well, I have some members that are concerned about that as well. So I said we could put both of them
Yeah,
together.
but I'm saying unless someone who was caught double dipping, it came out, the Inspector General did his report. Unless that person appealed to the board, those members' annuity has been suspended and they're supposed to pay back or whenever we pay their annuity.
Well, Mr. Williams, we still need an update on those.
Okay, fine.
We haven't had an update. We haven't, remember you were supposed to generate a list for us. We haven't gotten that list. And we still haven't gotten an update and
Okay, we have all of that information.
okay, so,
Also, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just wanted to remind Attorney Russell that there are board rules for the hearings. And so under the guise of the board's attorney, the system follows those rules and those timelines.
Kathy, let's hold on. I mean, I think everybody's in agreement that we need some process to monitor these things, these items, which I lump under the category of member services. The only question I'd say now is what the form is going to be. And so, and it looks like they're saying we need to call a special meeting for that.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's clear that it's not the system that's creating the lengthy timeline.
That's not the discussion on. I'm not passing it. That's the point. The point is that in a session, in a targeted session, you'll be able to explain what you're trying to explain right now.
Okay, I just want the public, because the public is listening, to understand that it's not GRS system that's holding up this. We're following the timelines. That's all I'm trying to clear up.
So we'll schedule a special meeting within the next board meeting to discuss member service right issues.
Trustee Russell, you have a motion?
Well, the
Well,
motion is not necessary.
it may not be necessary now because the chair has acquiesced to the fact that all of us have a desire to have a special meeting. So he will schedule it. I just wanted, it have to be scheduled before our next board meeting, because when we have the next board meeting, we should be able to report to the members, something a little more substantial than, something pending. So
I used to report to the members. I mean, a special board meeting, it's a board meeting.
I know, and so you have to. I think information is absolutely necessary for. So if the more information people get, Mr. Chair, if we do a special board meeting and members participate, and they don't participate or they don't reiterating it in the scheduled meeting, nothing wrong with that. I don't think, we just have to be a little more responsive. That's all it is.
Okay. I don't know if Ms. Cole is still on the line. I'm not seeing her. Oh yeah. So Ms. Cole, you're listening. We'll coordinate to convene a special board meeting sometime within the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
All right. I guess,
We still in a report for the administrator, right?
yeah, he was just wrapping up. I think he's wrapping up. Go ahead. You have a question on the report?
I have a question here. Mr. Nibs, I'm looking at your report and I must commend you. It's comprehensive. And reading it, provided a lot of information to me. But this FEMA inspection, I don't think I understand why FEMA came to Havenside and what they were expecting. So you could get into detail about FEMA and insurance in your report. Yeah.
Well, it's a part of, well, we had to contact FEMA. It's a part, but Ms. Glendinning is the liaison with FEMA, so I'll let her respond.
Good morning again, Trustee Russell. When the hurricanes hit us in 2017 under the direction of Mr. Nibs, the GERS applied for FEMA funding to be reimbursed for some of our funds. That, of course, is offset by any insurance proceeds which we receive. So in order to qualify for the FEMA funded, the GERS wrote 13 project worksheets or 13 grants. Of those 13 grants, we're only pending 2. We've received everything else. And the demolition of the warehouse and the refurbishment of Warehouse J and the parking lot and the green space are all in the PWs that are left, project worksheets that are left to be paid by FEMA. Because of the location of the warehouses and the age of the warehouses, environmental and hazardous protection and the State Historic and Preservation Office has to do reviews for FEMA. So EHP, they call it, a review, is a part of the process in order for us to get the funds that we need obligated. So you are not to destroy, touch, do anything to the buildings until you get that go ahead, if you want FEMA funds. And we've already decided, because we've collected on 12 of the 11 of the 13, that we want those funds. So we're just going through the process. So their team came from DC in a way to do an on-site assessment, because everything I was sending is paperwork and pictures, and they wanted to get a feel of what was there, what was to be demolished, what was to be retained. So it's just a part of the process to finalize our grant.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
And then Mr. Nibs, and I say, one more question about, I'm looking at the loan disbursements. Okay. So Mr. Nibs, we, I look at the delinquent miscellaneous.
Where were you looking at? The treasurer's report?
No, I'm looking at your report. This is supplemental information, December 2021. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to get an understanding of that spreadsheet.
I'm not. What page is it on, sir?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The numbers. Okay. Let me. That's it. It's called loan disbursements.
That has to be the treasurer's report.
Okay. Okay. Let me okay. But maybe you know about it. What are the refunds that we get in for loan disbursement? Maybe
I
you know.
think it has to do with insurance. For those loans, insurance, I think.
Okay, I'll wait for the treasurer's report. And so the last part, the operations in St. Croix. You still not allowing in-person visits in St. Croix?
Well, we did do, like I said, we have a more remediation issue. And we did, both offices, we did do that, and we have to clear up that situation before we can allow that. We can see something maybe down in February to reopen up.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I was trying to understand the in your report, Mr. Nibs. So the arrears that we're talking about for, I guess, primarily for the Division of Personnel and the Department of Justice, is because they didn't sign the lease, they're still behind? Is that money sitting on deposit? Once they sign the lease, will become current?
Nothing like that. They didn't even sign up.
Mr. Administrator Nips, may I?
Any monies come in subsequent to the report? Ms. Candidate?
Trustee Dorsey, good morning. A payment was received for the Division of Personnel for their rentals, and an ACH was sent for their electricity. And we haven't received that yet, but they sent the information from the ERP so we could see what's done. So they're trying to, despite the pending lease, still get us paid. I spoke to the CFO of Justice yesterday, and he has processed the payment. Property and Procurement has given him permission to process the entire outstanding amount, knowing that the lease is going through the process just so GRS could be made whole. So again, Division of Personnel sent their payments, and Property and Procurement just returned an approved letter so Justice could go ahead, but the monies are there. And truly they were waiting on the fully executed lease, but Property and Procurement has allowed them to pay us.
Yeah, but the arrearages don't have anything to do with the execution of the leases. If they're not, they don't have an executed lease, they're on a month-to-month basis. So you still have to pay. That's all of it.
Yeah, Property and Procurement's position was they weren't approving any payments until leases were executed, as to not have so many outstanding leases in the government's month-to-month for 10, 15 years. But again, as I said, they've allowed them to process all outstanding payments for us because you, Mr. Nibs, have signed the lease and it's going through the process.
Okay.
I'm staying on a tenant-landlord relationship. I think that's a legal issue. They cannot hold up payment of anything to us because the tenant is still on a month-to-month lease when they don't have a signed lease.
I mean, okay. So we've heard the explanation. So your expectation, Ms. Clendenin, is that the money will be coming to us shortly?
That is correct. Like I said, we've already received some for Division of Personnel and we're waiting on Justice and DOP's electricity. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and let me comment on that. I agree with Mr. Nibs, you know. Treating the GRS like a second-class citizen, the law provides that month to month and that you have to pay. And the government has to understand, and maybe we need to write a strong letter to them because what Mr. Nibs is saying is correct. And they need to understand that that's the way the law is written and that is the way they have to abide by the law. So I agree with you, Mr. Nibs. Thank you.
Okay, I had another question. Mr. Nibs, you met with WAPA on the 24th of December, and that was for a different type of meeting. But between yourself and Ms. Jeremiah, has WAPA paid the money that was due us? Have they paid the balance? Have they come whole? They had needed 30 days or something like that?
Well, I just signed the resolution, I think, last week, but I haven't seen anything, Ms. Jeremiah.
No payment is yet.
Yeah.
So what is outstanding still?
I think it's 2-point-something million.
2-point-something million. Okay.
No, it's
But I don't think the issue really was ultimately whether they had paid something. The resolution was that the system had 60 days to work out a payment plan. And I think the question is, was a payment plan worked out? Is that being worked on? What is the status of that?
Based on my knowledge, a payment plan has been worked on. There's a new director and we were waiting. Kathy and I discussed it some days ago. We want to meet with that director and give him an overview of the situation with the GRS payments.
I guess my question is, whether we have a new director or not, those guys who were there, those members who were there, they knew about it. So this was within the 60-day window to work out a payment plan. So you guys decided outside of the 60-day window not to do a payment plan? That's my question.
No, Mr. Dorsey, it's not that we decided outside of the plan. It's just trying to schedule a meeting with them, and they knew that they had hired a new executive director, and they didn't want to commit to anything knowing that they have a new boss coming on board. So I am working on trying to schedule a meeting with the new director.
So is this outside of the 60 days?
I haven't seen the resolution. I think it just came in the other day, so I don't recall what the date was.
But again, let's be clear. The fact that you may not have seen the resolution, you knew what the board asked and you knew what the timeline was. You've done stuff without getting the written resolution. So let's not say that, you had to wait on that.
Pedro, that's not what I'm saying.
Kathy, let me finish. The resolution is clear. You had 60 days to work out a payment plan, and if that wasn't done, regardless of whatever WAPA's position is, you had your march in order to initiate litigation. I mean, there's no dispute about that.
Well, I don't think we want to go to litigation, Mr. Chairman. We would jump on it right away. I know I signed the resolution and I saw the 60 days last week. We will get on it as soon as possible.
Yes, let me just clarify though, I was not saying or making an excuse. I could not answer Mr. Dorsey's question about the dates because I did not have the dates in front of me. So I did not want to misspeak and say yes or no, because I don't recall the dates off the top of my head without looking at the resolution. But we will try to meet with the executive director first, because I think that's common courtesy to try to meet with him first to settle this amicably. And then if not, we will file a complaint. Unless the board directs us to do otherwise.
But you already been directed, You guys have been directed. You had a 60-day window, then you were supposed to move on to the next part of this process. Whether there's a new CEO or not, that was irrelevant. So you're telling me if this CEO decides he's no longer going to be there after a month on the job, where does that leave us? I think we should just follow what we requested as a board on that issue.
All right, we'll go ahead and prepare the complaint and file it.
Also, I had a question. I
don't think we need to file a copy. I don't know.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I don't think we need to file a complaint. I think we need to meet with the executive of WAPA so we can get him up to speed and let him try to see if we can get a payment plan. From what I understand, they're going to have a new CFO, they're going to have a new executive director, they're going to have a new executive team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to meet in them before we file any complaint. Maybe we don't need to file a complaint. Why are we getting into some type of legal issue when we can try to see if we can not get into that? So I think we just need, like we discussed this week, I think we need to just meet with a new executive director and the CEO, CFO, and try to work things out and see what their cash liquidity is and see if we can get a payment plan. That's all. If they can't, if they can't, then we will file some type of complaint. But I've been through WAPA, been through this with WAPA before. We went to the judge, when we filed a complaint, the judge says, hey, look, try to negotiate this thing. It took us a while to negotiate it, but I'm just saying, I don't see why we should file a complaint, right now. And until we try to do everything as possible to negotiate for them to come up with a payment plan.
I wonder now why we even make recommendations for the administration to follow the board's requests if you guys are just going to sit back and decide you're going to do it outside of what we requested. I'm not sure why we're here now if you guys are going to just do what you want to do. We put it in, we voted on it as a board. You asked for some time. I was ready to go from the 30-day window. You guys had asked for some time. So now we put this in and now you decide you don't want to follow what we requested. So I'm not sure what we're really doing here with that issue.
I don't think we're saying that we don't want to follow what the board requested. I think you should give the management some discretion. Okay?
And I think, Mr. Dorsey, we're going to be trying to work with WAPA on other projects that will be beneficial to the GRS. So we want to give the new executive director the courtesy of trying to work with him so he won't hold it against us when we work with WAPA on the other projects or tell WAPA, no, don't assist us. So it's only a matter, it's not that we're ignoring you, but we want to try to give this executive director the courtesy so we can get his cooperation on future projects.
I will just make a correction, Attorney Smith. You're not ignoring me. You're ignoring the trustees. It's not Dorsey. It's the trustees, right? We voted on this and certain things are supposed to happen. Sometimes people will just react because they respect the process. But if they see you kind of hesitating on things, then they continue along the route they've been going. And that's kind of been the pattern here. The other question I had, Mr. Nibbs, because I'm going to move on. Just lost my train of thought on it. Okay, I'm done for the moment, Chair. If it comes back to me, I'll raise it again. I'm done for the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Just to, from my perspective, Mr. Nibbs and Kathy obviously are aware of the urgency that the board has placed on settling this issue. So I trust that you'd act accordingly going forward. I mean, I think there's some merit to your argument, in my view, of trying to work it out. My preference is to work these things out. I mean, you probably get it faster than trying to get it to the court. But anyway, so
Chair, I just got my thought back that I had a question about.
Move on that aggressively for please.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes, I don't know what
Mr. Nibbs and Attorney Smith. When we have situations like non-payment just across the board, right? Shouldn't that fall under the document that you give us to review on a monthly basis under what's the title of it? The litigation document. It shouldn't fall in that section when members, or I guess people we're doing business with, for example, the agencies, the two agencies, the primary agencies, which is Division of Personnel, the Attorney General's office, and then we also have WAPA that owes us several $1 million, and then we also have the other vendors at the Haven site. Shouldn't that fall in that same category of the document someplace, or maybe a sub document, so that we can have everything in one place? Because we have items like in 3-4 different sections of this monthly document that you give us, but if we can consolidate it, then maybe, as the chair was saying earlier, with some of the other items in the monthly document, we could be more pointed on that.
Mr. Dorsey, just explain, my monthly legal report are matters that are handled by the general counsel's office. If a case is turned over to us for collection, then you will see it in my report. If it's not turned over to our office to handle, it's not going to be in my report.
Okay, so I guess my point would be the abatement that we're talking about for the Haven site tenants, right? I look at that situation. Hold on, Mr. Nibbs. I look at that situation and I look at the collections for the Division of Personnel and the AG. I look at those guys kind of in the same area, because we're talking about collection of rent, right? But it's not under the litigation legal report. I understand all of that, but I think it should be in that report. So it's all in one place. It could be in categories within that report. So if we decide as trustees in the future, we want to call a special hearing meeting on those issues, we'd have it all in one place. But right now it's in like 4 or 5 different places within this document. So you have your legal report, then you have your abatement document, then you have your rent document, and then I don't have nothing in this document on the WAPA. I just have it in my old notes to ask that question today, because it's not a follow-up document in here for us to follow as trustees. So if we don't pay attention, a lot of this stuff will just slip by. So I was just trying to figure out, why don't we consolidate everything in one place? Because it seems to fall in the same category, but we can put subcategories in the legal report document so that we can cover that. Now, for months, we haven't covered the legal document, even in executive session. For whatever reason, we haven't done that. But within that same document, and I don't know if you caught it, Chair, or any other trustees, but the first section of the litigation, it talks about
Mr. Dorsey, we don't discuss the board, the general counsel's report in open session. That's to be done
I'm just repeating, I'm repeating in the legal document, which is correct, but I'm just repeating which is already public information in the document we have today. My question was, why did you put it from that document to this document? And then there's a difference in the years of the insolvency as well. I don't know if you saw it, but there's a year different, a full year different in the insolvency in the document from the governor, in the document from the Senate, and in the document that you have a year shorter than what they have. So they have 2024 and you have 2023. I think that's a serious, I don't know, oversight, or maybe you're right on point and the other two are not on point. So I wanted to point that out.
Okay. Let's, Mr. Nibbs, we need to move the agenda along. We need to conclude Mr. Nibbs' report. And move on to the other report.
Oh, Chair, I just wanted an answer on what I just asked.
What is the question?
You have all these different sections where we talk about abatement, rent not being paid, our other legal issues, and a whole legal document. Rent abatement, they're in different sections in the report. When you do a report, something like this, you're always going to be behind because you're going to be going back and forth, and you're never really gaining any ground.
What is your question, Mr. Dawson?
It should be consolidated into one section in the report, even if it's a report we never get to, but at some point we'll have a special meeting and get to it. And I think we haven't gotten to this part of the report, I would say for what, the last 5 meetings? I could be wrong.
What is your question, Mr. Dawson?
That we put everything related to abatement, related to the WAPA monies that are owed, in one section of the report. One section.
Which report?
The legal report, which is a legal report. It comes from Attorney Smith to Mr. Nibbs, and it lists all the areas of concern of monies owed or monies in a debate with the system. So right now we have different areas where people either owe us money, they owe the system money, they're renting from us, they want they're not paying, and it's in different places in the report. I was asking if we can just put it in one place, and we have to find that place. The only place I can see is in the legal report. It could be a subsection. It could be a subsection of the legal report.
Except, Mr. Dorsey, again, that makes me dependent on other people to give me the information to complete my report. I can do my report based on what's in my office and what's being handled. If I have to get the rental information and other information, then I have to compile it from other people.
Hold on. The legal report should include, in my view, only stuff that elevated to taking legal action. I mean, if you're talking about arrearage and stuff, those are operational things. Why would they get into a legal report?
Chairman, let me ask you this. So you're telling me the $2 million that WAPA owes is not a legal issue? You're telling me the millions of dollars that the Havenside tenants owe us is not a legal issue?
Not a legal issue until we file some kind of legal action.
Okay, so
it's an operational issue. Collection of rent and outstanding bill, that's operational. There's nothing.
Well, let me just reference the council to the board. Am I missing something here, council? I'm trying to consolidate what is owed to us. And I'm saying that in the same legal report, there could be a subcategory of these items, so everything is in one place. Because right now we have a meeting, we're going back and forth, and then the next thing you're going to say, Chair, well, we need to move on with the agenda. But then I'm trying to connect the dots where I sit. I'm just trying to connect the dots, and it seems like it's all over the place.
What I propose, Mr. Chairman, is that we can do a separate report for you, like more with the financials and everything. It's going to be a very extensive report. If you want all the schedules and everything like that, we're just trying to condense it. But we can come up with a report and merge all of Havenside Mall into one report. I don't know. I mean,
which is what I was going to suggest. I think if I understand what Trustee Dorsey is saying, you probably need some details or summary as to where we are in terms of collection with tenants and Havenside Mall, and those should just be a part of the administrator's report because they are operational issues.
It's going to be discussed in executive session today.
Okay.
So I have one more question before Ms. Jeremiah. Did we draw down another 15 million for this process, Ms. Jeremiah? Are we up to 30 million? I'm trying to understand that.
We haven't gotten to our report yet, have we?
No, I was asking a question.
We were at 30 million last report. And we are still at 30 million for December's report.
Okay, so we haven't had any drawdowns from that report till today.
We made a drawdown in January, but it's not on the December's report because that report is December's.
Okay, so when you include the January, how much was that drawdown?
We drew down 20 million in January.
Wow, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Jeremiah, please proceed with your report.
Is Ms. Jeremiah next or committee reports?
Excuse me?
Is the treasurer's report next or committee reports? What is it now? Is it committee reports or it is no committee reports? I think I missed that.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, you skipped the committee report.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're confused.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
None from the policy. We have the
none from the policy, none from budget. Is there any committee reports?
None from the development committee.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, who reports on the medical for the medical committee? We have anybody to report on that? Or we don't have anything in medical or that's under executive session? Because I never really hear anything from that committee, the medical committee.
The medical review committee?
Yeah.
Well, bear in mind that the medical review committee is a statutory committee, so you won't necessarily hear a report at a board meeting other than if the committee makes a recommendation to the board for a decision. And there are 2 cases pending before the medical committee that needs to have hearings. And I believe the administrative assistant is working with the medical review committee members to schedule those 2 hearings.
Okay, so you're good, Ms. Smith?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now we go to the treasurer's report.
Okay.
Are we adopting the administrator's report? Or do we have to vote on adopting them or just move through them as part of the agenda?
We have not been adopting them in the past, as far as I know.
Okay, let's.
Mr. Nibs, am I correct?
You're correct, sir.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
Okay, I'll be sharing the screen. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is the schedule of receipts and disbursement for the government employees retirement system for the month ending December 31st, 2021. Receipts from collections. We had loan repayment, 846,686. Year to date, 2,732,981. Rent from tenants, 62,719 year to date, 130,616. Employer retirement contributions, 8,623,966. Year to date, 23,618,519. Employee retirement contributions, 4,362,960. Year to date, 12,151,973. Parking facility, 240. Year to date, 1,720. Miscellaneous, 149,285. Year to date, 768,566. Total collections, 14,045,857. Year to date collections, 39,404,456. Disbursements have annuity payments, 22,258,746. Year to date, 67,657,131. Administrative expenses, 1,122,966. Year to date, 3,351,824. Personal loans, 12,092. Year to date, 36,850. Mortgage loans, 12,791. Year to date, 50,058. Retiree loans, 5,873. Year to date, 8,489. We have land loans of 35. Refund of contributions, 696,143. Year to date, 2,052,728. For total disbursement of 24,108,676. Year to date, 73,157,113. For a net cash deficit of 10,062,819. Year to date cash deficit, $33,752,657. So for December, GRS collected 58%, or 14 million of what is needed for the expenses, which was 24 million, and collected 26 or 2.8 million more than it did for December of fiscal 2021. Year-to-date collections was 2% or 737 less than the same period of fiscal 2021. Year-to-date expenditure for fiscal 22 was 1% over the same period of fiscal 2021. Year-to-date expenditure is 21% of fiscal 2022 budget. And this is a comparison of the loans in fiscal 2022. What was posted to the V3 system at the time is 1.9 million. And the breakout is principal 1.6, interest 262, escrow 32,779. And for fiscal 2021, 3,895 for the period was collected, and this was the breakout as shown. And I was just letting you know that this is what was posted at the time of this report was done. In V3, there was a total of 2.7 million collected, but because of timing with posting, that's what. And thus far, as of December 31st, we have drawn down 30 million from the portfolio. Here's inside. This is Havenside's schedule of receipts and disbursement for the month ending December 31st, 2021. Total collections for the month is 185,352. Year to date, 614,354. We had a total disbursement of 286,508 year to date. 623,017, and we have a net cash deficit of 101,156. Year-to-date cash deficit of 8,663. For the month of December 2021, Havenside Mall collected 65% of what was needed for expenditure, thus creating a 35% or 101,156 shortfall. Fiscal year-to-date collections increased by 68% or 248,000 over last fiscal year-to-date collections. Our fiscal year-to-date expenditure was 33% or 302 on the last year fiscal year-to-date expenditure. The Havenside Mall expenses were 18% of budget. That ends the treasurer's report, Mr. Chair.
Do you have any questions on the treasurer's report?
Yes, I have.
A question.
Go ahead, Mr. Dorsey. I'll ask after you.
Yes, Ms. Jeremiah, when you mentioned the difference of that 20 million, was that, I understand it's not on your document, but was that for the two payment periods, like 10 and 10, or was that for one payment period?
When we withdraw money from the portfolio, it depends on our needs at the time. We might not have collected enough money. So for pay period 1/15, we did not have enough in the bank account to pay the retirees. So we had to draw down money in order to make that payment.
Which report we're talking about?
Mr. Dorsey asked about the 20 million that was withdrawn in January.
Oh, okay.
So that 20 million was for the one pay period. That's what you're saying?
When we withdraw, we don't just say, okay, we just need 10 million. We withdraw enough to cushion for the next pay period as well.
Oh, I got
when we withdraw, exactly, we had enough money to ensure that the next pay period would be covered as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, along that line, before I go into what I think. So you have a month-to-month comparison of income and disbursements that you use to determine the drawdown?
Yes, and as well as looking at the bank account, which agency have outstanding money for us. If any agency have not paid, we call them up, we collect what we can, and then it will determine whether we go ahead and withdraw or not.
Okay, so you do a quick evaluation as to income, and then you look at the expenses for that month, right?
Correct. Every Monday morning, the first thing the accountants do on a Monday morning is give me a book balance and a bank balance so that I can evaluate what is needed for that week.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, that's my first question following up. Go back to the got to the top of this land loans and the top of yes, right there. what the what the refund for the personal loans is? You refunding? Tell me what.
Overpayments.
Oh, okay. So are you refund the overpayments annually, or is it a monthly, or is it what?
Monthly, whenever the loan division said there's an overpayment, they make that overpayment. That's what this report is.
Okay. Okay.
And for the mortgage is the insurance. Those who we have escrow for, that's the insurance payment for those mortgages.
Okay. And the retiree loans refund, same thing?
Correct.
Okay. And now the land loans, you got it at 34 what?
$34.
Okay. I thought so. Okay. Okay. So go to the next slide. Just one more slide there. Yes. Okay. Let me see. Let me move this along. Okay. When you have your annuities, deceased pensioners checks, explain that for me a little bit more.
Those are the checks that we make payments, and the deceased, the pensioner was deceased, so the payments came back to us. So those are those amounts.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. And what replacement card is? What, that's $40. What's that?
I believe that has to do with the card entrance for GERS.
That's correct.
And if you lose it, you have to pay to replace it.
Okay, good. And ADEC, that is a security or something agency?
Actuarial determined amount contribution, employer contribution.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what that is?
Yes.
I didn't know what the acronym meant. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I have one more question for Ms. Jeremiah. So Ms. Jeremiah, when the agencies, when you look at your spreadsheet on Monday and you notice a particular agency has not paid in their money, are we charging them a late fee?
It's not necessarily that they're late, because they have 10 days by law after each pay period to submit their money. It may so happen that their 10 days is not up yet, but I'm calling them and say, hey, can we come and pick up the check, or can you bring over the check for us, or whatever? And sometimes they comply. We go get them, or they will bring it before the 10 days.
So does that need to be cut to 5 days so that we don't have to be drawing down so much from our investments?
I can determine the loss, sir.
Well, I was just saying, if you're looking at a spreadsheet and you're looking at the flow, you're looking at the flow of the money, right? You said on Monday. So if this is something that's ongoing, maybe we need to change that. Is there any recommendations? Has any recommendations been made over the years in reference to this part of the operation?
I can't answer that, and I will not be the one making a recommendation.
Who can answer that? Mr. Nibs? Is there somebody else financially who can answer that?
Sometimes changing our operations costs money. If the auditor hasn't said anything to us, why would we want to change it unless it's a burdensome to us?
Well, I guess my question is, I don't know if the auditor.
Maybe the auditor needs it in that way so he can understand it also.
Maybe the auditor didn't catch it, but we have that out to bid now to get a different auditor, right?
I don't have any problem with it, sir. It's,
well,
it's a minute issue, and this is an operational issue.
But Mr. Nibs, how can you say it's minute when you're drawing down money from the investment dollars to meet payroll? How can that be minute?
Tell me what is the alternative, sir?
May I say something?
What is the alternative?
The alternative is that agencies, whoever owe us, whoever's doing business with us, they need to pay the money to the system.
What the governor's legislation is for?
Say that again?
I think this is what the governor's legislation is trying to cover, isn't it? We don't have that much problems with the semi-autonomous agencies. Only Wang Louis had an issue. WAPA does have an issue also, but usually we don't have an issue with the semi-autonomous agencies.
The thing is, though, whether they pay on time or not, we will still have to draw down.
Correct.
That negates the factor that we will have to draw down. The contribution is just not enough to support what is being paid out. So regardless if they pay on time or not, we will have to draw down still.
Not enough. There's a deficit position.
Yeah, Mr. Nibbs and Ms. Jeremiah, when I try to ask for an explanation, I don't really get it, but when I start to press you guys on what I'm asking about, and you ask from a different perspective, then all of a sudden you can find something to say to me. Because I thought what I asked Ms. Jeremiah was pretty straightforward for somebody who's looking at our spreadsheet on a Monday. I mean, that's what we do in business. We look at our costs, we look at our income. I thought that was pretty straightforward. I'm not sure why you can't answer that. However, you answer what you want to answer.
You have to look at it holistically. I don't think you're looking at it that way.
Well, I will say this, Mr. Nibbs. I will say this, Mr. Nibbs and Ms. Jeremiah, right? From where I sit, whatever dollars we can get is less that you have to take out of our investment dollars. That's how I was looking at it. And anybody else that has costs every month they have to meet, that's what you look at. So if the system is an agency, a semi-autonomous agency is paying late, I was just asking if there's a policy in place or a system in place to collect. Ms. Jeremiah shared what it was. She'll pick up the phone and call. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I was just asking if there's any recommendations. You know, you're here to give us recommendations, right? That's all it was.
No, this
So
is
don't
an
take it
operational.
personal.
This is an operational issue.
It's the operational issue that have us in this, Mr. Nibbs. It's part of it.
It's not our problem. GRS problem is the plan sponsor's problem. It's a plan
Thank you,
sponsor's
Chair.
problem.
Thank you, Chair.
Let's move on.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second.
Who said it first? Who said it first?
Smith.
Smith. But who second?
Doesn't
Second.
matter. Doesn't matter.
Trustee Calwood?
Yes.
Trustee Dorsey?
Yes.
Trustee Liger?
Yes.
Trustee McDonald? Absent. Trustee Russell?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Barry?
Yes.
6 yes, 1 absent.
Okay. So next is the investment officer's report.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, other trustees. This is an update of the performance report of the GRS Investment Fund as of December 31st, 2021. So total plan return slightly positive at 0.1% for the month ending December 31st. Total fixed income was slightly down, negative 0.3%, but was in line with its benchmark. Our total alternative portfolio was up 1.5%, but underperformed its benchmark by 3.3%. Notable fund performances are our Q Capital active fixed income fund returned negative 0.3%, which slightly underperformed its benchmark by 0.04%. Our BlackRock US Debt Index Fund returned negative 0.3%. And for the month ending December 31st, our Mezro Private Equity Funds returned 6.5%. What does that equate to in dollars for the month? For the month ending, we were pretty much still in line with the previous month ending at 407.8 million. We raised no funds in the month of December. As Ms. Jeremiah stated in our previous report, we did withdraw 20 million in the month of January. And also subsequently, we did have to raise some cash to replenish the cash on hand after that withdrawal. So we began the month at 407.5 million as our beginning market value. We had a net cash flow of 0, so we had no activity for the month, and as it relates to cash flow. We had an income of 388,000. We had a unrealized loss of 152.9 thousand. That brought us to that ending market value of 407.8 million as of December 31st, 2021. As it relates to any management, custodian, or consultant fees, we paid no fees for the month. We ended the calendar year at 640,000 in fees paid. And fiscal year to date, we've paid, as of December 31st, we've paid $102,000. As it relates to securities lending, month to date, we had a $300 inflow. Year to date, 10,000. And fiscal year to date, we had about $1,500. So as you can see by the graph, our assets continue to still, I mean, we had a stable month where pretty much, you know, the activity left the portfolio pretty much as was for the beginning of the month. I think as of December 31st, we were at about 332 million in marketable securities. So those would be securities that we could readily liquidate at any moment for cash. And I think based on the 407.8 million, along with the member loans program and the complexes, which we don't report in that overall number, I think we would be at about 109 million in illiquid assets. Mr. Chair, trustees, that concludes my report for the month of September 31st. I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions on the investment officer's report?
I have a question, Chair.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Henderson,
Yes, Trustee Dorsey.
how are you today?
I'm doing well.
Good. So our cash position is the 56 million. That's our actual cash on hand.
That's the actual cash on hand, yes, at the custodian level.
So when we're drawing down, that's what we're drawing from at this point?
That is correct.
Okay. So we took 20 million off of that number?
That is correct.
So you wouldn't recommend that we have a supplemental report that would be more up to date when we come in on our monthly meetings if there's been activity, even if it's the day before? So at least we know what our true position is. 20 million off of that. 20 million off of that number is a big number.
Historically, I beg the board's pardon. Historically, I usually put what we would plan to raise if we have a plan to raise funds in a subsequent one coming up. I would usually put a notation here in the cash flow section, and I did not do it this time. So I'll try to do that faithfully moving forward, so you guys would have a better idea. I'm not sure if we usually put the cash that we're going to raise. We don't usually put the funds that we actually would want. That's usually covered in Ms. Jeremiah's report. But I usually, in my cash flow analysis, I would tell the board where we plan to raise X and X amount of dollars. to replenish the cash account, and I did not in this case. So going forward, I will try to make sure I do that.
Well, the reason why I raise it because it's not in Ms. Jeremiah's report, and it needs to show up someplace. We're just in a position right now that it's a lot of speculation as to what's going to happen or not happen because it hasn't happened yet. So we have to go by our actuals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we report. I guess these board meetings are reporting at a specific end of month period. So
I hear you loud and clear, Mr. Henderson.
Yeah.
I was just stating, right, because of the state that the plan is in, we just need to be a little bit more pointed. So, 30 days is a long window. It's a lot of activity, a lot of moving parts. And as I was explaining earlier with this report, we actually have numbers all over the place. So if you don't have your head on, it can get very confusing. And I can only imagine how it is to our trustees, our constituents that are listening, right?
Right.
But I just feel like everything should be consolidated that's in the same category in one part of the report. But when you do it like this, you're like flipping pages, you're back and forth. Some of us understand it and some of us don't. So we have people at a disadvantage, and I'm sorry I didn't get to you. I did promise, but it's been pretty busy. I'll still try to do that. I still see some changes that we can add in. That was definitely one of them. But 20 million is a big number, and I think it should be in red on this document and explain what it is, even if it's for the following month. It's just my recommendation. But it is what it is. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Okay. Keeping the chart up, Mr. Okay, let me look at this. Okay, when you draw down money, what's the process to draw it down? Is it coming directly from our bank account? Do you have to liquidate some of your bonds? How do we get access to more money to buttress the annuities? Tell me that process.
Okay. Let me stop sharing this document so I could pull up a next one for you.
Yeah.
To give you a better idea of,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see a spreadsheet on the screen?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So this is what we call the projections of sources and uses for funds. Every beginning of the fiscal year, we would work with our consultant, Makita, to come up with a cash flow projection schedule as to where we would fund monies for particular fiscal year as the need arises to cover the shortfall for benefits and expenses.
Okay.
Where you see the red highlighted cash flow indications,
yeah,
that would be based on our projected cash flows, based on accountant's need for cash to pay benefits and expenses. These red highlighted cash flow amounts are where we would source those funds after we've done the withdrawal. These areas, these managers are where we would source those funds to cover or to replenish the cash account to the established levels that we need to be at all times.
So you have an idea, is a projection, and you have an idea, and then when you get close to drawing it down, you get more into detail of the actual amount. Is that
That's correct? So as we get a request for cash from Mr. Jeremiah's team, and we initiate that withdrawal,
yeah,
we would need to at some point replenish that cash account that we took those monies out back to the levels that we want, and hence would trigger the need to raise cash from the identified manager to replenish that cash.
Okay, is Siegel the manager?
Siegel is our actuary. Makita Investment Group is our consultant.
Yeah, because okay, Okay.
So
So,
this schedule is a little noisy, but at the heart of it, it just identifies where we would be sourcing those funds throughout the fiscal year to stay in line with our current allocation and to make sure that our cash on hand is at an adequate level.
okay, good. Okay. Just as a follow-up to that. So you have a method.
Oh yes, definitely we have a method.
Yeah, and it's a good method. And I needed to understand.
Definitely. No, we don't know. It's not any ad hoc situation. Definitely there's a method.
But I need to understand because we're going into some critical legislation and we need to understand how, the method we're going to access money. Now with this one now, okay. Let's figure now into the Haven Site Mall, how it figures into this. And I know it figures because the treasurer's report gives us that, okay? So that the overall financial picture is taken with all of the assets, Haven Site, the land and everything, and we proceed that kind of way in getting these projections?
Correct. All assets are taken into consideration when we make these projections. So if you look here at local assets,
yeah,
the Haven Site Mall is within the Haven Site Mall value is within that number.
Okay, very good. Okay.
All assets of the plan is taken into consideration when these projections are made.
Okay. Siegel seemed to have been advising the governor too. You see a conflict there?
Siegel actuary?
Yeah.
If on behalf of the GRS, as far as I could see, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm not a legal expert, but I don't think I see a conflict.
Because you do a good job, and I want to know that we have an independent resource because we're getting into discussions with the legislature and the governor. And some of us have skepticism about how this process is moving. So I want to, I could ask Mr. Chair, could Pedro Williams give us his initial reaction to that question?
Sure.
I'm sorry. The question is whether or not Siegel has a conflict.
Yeah.
Because they're representing the governor on the SPV issue.
Yeah. And then they represent us as our actual. So, it would appear to me that if the Department of Interior was involved in this whole financial process, we could get independent confirmation as to the best approach. When Siegel advising us and advising the governor, I'm a little concerned about that.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Hold on, Kathy. Obviously, I would need to know more. I haven't seen what agreement, if any, Siegel has with the government. I don't even know that. I've seen Siegel's contract with the GRS years ago. I haven't seen it recently. So it's hard for me to opine on it. Obviously, there could be a potential conflict if the government and GRS were in an adversarial relationship. I don't believe that that's necessarily the case. And I think that a lot of times is what will determine whether or not there's a conflict of interest. It seems to me that generally the central government or the government of the Virgin Islands interests and GRS interests are basically aligned. So, it's hard for me to see where there would be a conflict, but I would assume that since Siegel has represented the GRS for a number of years, if some other entity asked Siegel to do work for them, Siegel would need to do a conflict check to determine whether in fact they would have a conflict in representing entity X, knowing that they also represented GRS. And a lot of that would determine whether company X is in an adversarial relationship with GRS. I mean, those are my general responses to what you've asked without knowing more specifics.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I believe Siegel's role with the government was to take the government's proposed plan and to, because it has intimate knowledge of GRS, to determine how it would affect the GRS. They were not opining on whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. All they were taking was the government's proposal and putting it into charts to show the benefit or I should say the effect it would have on the GRS's finances. That was their.
Go ahead, finish.
Again, I have no knowledge of that, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, Kathy may have more information, but I haven't seen. I didn't even know what she just said, so it's hard for me to determine or opine on whether or not there's a conflict.
Well, Smith is correct, because I was the one that recommended after the administration had asked. I contacted Siegel. They felt they did not have a conflict. All they were doing is taking our information, looking at the SPV, and submitting the same things. The same thing that Siegel submitted, we have all that information already. So they didn't see it as a conflict. I didn't see it as a conflict.
Well, let me put it clear. We have had different interests. Although the government is the plan sponsor, we have had different approaches to resolving this whole insolvency issue. And the Board of Trustees of the GRS have to have, independent from the government, I believe, consultation and advice. And when it appears that the governor used Siegel, it raised a red flag with me, whether or not Siegel ain't just going along with the governor and saying that's the best plan.
I don't think so, Senator.
Okay, well,
I don't think so, based on.
I respond to
Okay.
there's nothing in the Siegel report that says whether the plan is good or bad. The Siegel report takes the numbers that the government gave them and ran it through their program to determine whether it would avoid insolvency or not. That's all it did.
Yeah, what the next
that schedule that they include, that's the same schedule they do for us all the time. We have several of those schedules. So there's obviously no conflict in there.
I can say this to the chair. I reading the trustee Russell's position is that if the government, the sponsor of the plan, wanted to run the numbers, then they should have got another company outside of who we've been using. I think just to avoid the appearance. We always talk about the appearance. We're not saying that they are in conflict, but we're just saying that these are people that we're using that have our inside information, right? So I guess the trustee is saying, and I could be wrong, the trustee is saying that it needed to be maybe a third party group to pick up that information and do their due diligence. Because that was one of the things that one of the representatives, I'm not going to call any names, but one of the representatives indicated to myself that they were using our people to justify their position at that time, which, you know, people use who they use. But I'm just saying, like, I never got a chance to respond back to even that comment, because I've asked, since I've been on the board as a trustee, that I've asked Siegel before to look at other assets, operational issues that we have to help us in the insolvency. our financial advisors on different occasions has indicated to me and getting back to me that that's not what they signed up for. Even though they may see an opportunity to help us, that's not what they signed up for. They stay in their domain. So I'm just saying, like, it to me is where they want to move around, because I've asked that early on. I've always felt like if you're advising us on a financial side of our investments, and we have other investments that can be made, I always felt like you should help us as a system. You should help us, and they've always said no. That's not in their domain.
You have a question, Mr. Dawson?
I was responding to what Trustee Russell was saying, and
Okay.
he's right on point
Okay.
with that issue.
You directed a question to the council. And he gave
And in face of it, I got to accept that Siegel would have done a conflict check, but it makes me a little comfortable moving forward in the process where you have one financial institution giving advice to everybody.
Okay, again, Mr. Attorney Russell, Siegel did not give advice to the government. They took the government's proposal and put it into a chart to show how the proposal would affect the solvency of the GRS. They have not given any opinion as to whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. They only took that proposal and ran it in the chart. It's the same thing they did under Governor DeYoung's task force. When there were proposals made by the task force, Siegel would run the proposals and see how it would affect the solvency of the GRS. They never gave an opinion on what the government is proposing.
Yeah, I need to hear from Siegel though.
Okay.
You want me to call him?
Not now.
But I gonna write a concern to an email. I gonna write it down.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and submit it, and then Kathy and Mr. Nibs, you raise it to Siegel. I gonna write it
Well,
down.
like I said, Senator Russell, we spoke about it with Alwyn. And he said he didn't see a conflict because he was not giving an opinion. All he was doing was taking the governor's proposal and running the scenarios, which he has done given us before. So he's on our side, not on the governor's side.
Well, I gonna write my concern to you, Mr.
Okay, all right.
And you get it to him.
All right.
And I thought that and the reason why that came up because when we do the drawdown, we have to have some entity in Washington, in DC, wherever the entity they have to call to get a drawdown. We want to be sure that we have who we paying working for us, and that's the issue. I don't want them working for somebody else and we paying them. Okay, I'll write my thing in email. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the report?
Chair, just a question to you. Is there a reason why we can't hear from Siegel if Mr. Nibs is able to get him on the phone while we're here?
No. It's not this. We need to move on with the agenda.
Okay.
Mr. Dorsey, I'll have my letter out after this meeting immediately. Don't worry.
Okay.
Well, just for the record, Chair, that same Al, when I spoke to in reference to our assets, and he just said that's not what he's here to do. So it's interesting now that he's finding something else to do. Okay. So Trustee Russell is really not wrong in him. It's just that you can't be picking and choosing, because as a trustee, I asked him, because to me, it just sticks out.
Yes, you can be picking and choosing. What do you mean you can't be picking and choosing?
Mr. Chairman, could I respond? Because you leave things, like that, and the public is hearing things. He's speaking about Makita. Makita told him that they have a contract which spells out the services that the board wanted them to do. So you can't say that. That's the board domain. The board has given them a contract and telling them what the scope of work is. If it's outside of their scope, they're not gonna do it.
That's not what I was saying, Mr. Nez. That's not what I was saying,
I
Mr. Nez.
remember the conversation when you asked him about it.
Mr. Nez, we have other assets, and I was asking Mr. Alwyn, you can assist us in developing these other assets because they could be potential cash flow to the system, Mr. Nez. And he said,
You're asking, first of all, you're getting it mixed up between Seagull and Makita.
That's not their responsibility.
You asked me, Makita does not opine on our local assets.
Makita does
I'm not getting that mixed up, Mr. Nibs. These guys have access to individuals, and I was talking about public-private partnership at the time. And we were talking about building our asset base because we have assets that are just like a doormat. They're not doing anything.
Mr. Darcy, could we get him? Mr. Russell said he's going to go and write his letter. We'll see what the letter says. Seagull is an actuary. The analysis that the government wanted is an actuarial analysis. That's why it turned to Seagull. That's where actuarial analysis is what they do.
Right, Mr. Chair, but they have other divisions within the corporation, and I asked could the other divisions weigh in on helping us. That's what I was asking.
Mr. Dorsey, that's what he's trying to say. That's not their responsibility.
Let's go. Let's move on.
Mr. Henderson, that was my question started there. I just wanted one more. Right, you still there, Mr. Henderson?
Trustee Russell.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So that and did you provide a projection of the monthly drawdown annually in the analysis that has gone to the to both the legislature and the governor regarding their bills? Have anybody turned to you for a real analysis of what happening with the cash flow of our system?
I didn't get a direct request, but I'm assuming that they looked at the historical cash flows from the plan to come to within their analysis to come to their conclusion.
Yeah, and I have a problem with that, and I know I sort of know you were going to say no, they didn't reach out to you.
But Mr. Russell, you said you might put.
I can put it in. So, Mr. Anderson, thank you very much.
Yeah, but Trustee Russell, I mean Mr. Nibs requested that information readily when he reports to the legislature, which is pretty much on a regular basis. So that information is readily available to them in terms of how much we draw and stuff like that.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'll put it in.
Okay.
Mr. Henderson, I'd like to get a copy of that last document, that last slide you put up.
Sources and uses schedule?
The last one with the funding.
The sources and uses schedule?
Yes.
Yes, no problem with it. I'll email it to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Or rather, Mr. Chairman, I'll email it out to everyone, all the trustees.
Right. Okay, so can could we accept or approve the investment officer's report?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the investment officer's report. I so move.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Trustee Dorsey,
Yes.
Trustee Liger,
Yes.
Trustee McDonough, absent. Trustee Russell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Barry,
Yes.
6 yes, 1 absent.
Okay. So we go into regular session, unfinished business. The first item, we just we've said that we're going to deal with that tomorrow, in the special meeting. So we go to the new business. Mr. Nils, Makita contract extension.
As you know, Makita has a annual contract, and I think it expires on February 1st. So we are recommending that we extend the contract another year. And usually, ordinarily, the contract used to be for 3 years. However, since we were winding down and we did not know exactly what was going to happen regarding the insolvency, we a couple years ago, we reduced their contract to 1 year and reduced the fee also, because they really don't have the asset base to manage like they used to. So we are asking that the board extend the contract through 2/1/23 at the same fee.
Any questions or any discussions on that?
No question.
No,
Okay, could we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we extend the Makita contract into 2023 as recommended by the administrator. I so move.
second,
Roll call.
Trustee Colvin,
Yes.
trustee Dorsey,
Yes.
trustee Liger,
Yes.
trustee McDonald, absent, trustee Russell,
Yeah.
trustee Smith,
yes,
Chairman Barry,
Yes.
6 yes, 1 absent.
Okay. That concludes the open session portion of the meeting. Could we get a motion to go into executive session, please?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to move into executive session. And this portion of the meeting will be closed to the public for matters pertaining to trade, commercial.
Trustee Smith, I think you muted yourself.
You're on mute.
To hear personal or legal matters.
Ms. Smith, you may want to restate the motion. We missed half of what you said
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the court reporter's purposes.
Blocked out for a while there, so we read the motion, please.
Okay, this portion of the meeting will be closed to the public for matters pertaining to trade secrets of financial or commercial information or personal or legal matters, or matters whose premature disclosure will frustrate the implementation of the proposed agency action.
I got a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Colvin,
Yes.
trustee Dorsey, trustee Dorsey, absent, trustee Liger,
Yeah.
trustee McDonald, absent, trustee Russell,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes,
Chairman Barry,
Yes.
5 yes, 2 absent.
Okay, and first item on the